All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Abington School Building Committee meeting of January 7th, 2016. A reminder, I do not believe went out prior to the last meeting for December 16th, and attendance was a little bit light at that meeting, so I apologize that we didn't get that out to you, and I know going forward you might get more reminders than you want. Both the minutes of November 23rd, 2015 and December 16th of 2015 were sent out in advance so that you could review them at your leisure. I would ask we'll make a motion and vote on them individually. So we'll start with the November 23rd.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. The minutes of November 23rd, 2015 are approved as presented. The minutes of December 16th, 2015.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The minutes of December 16th, 2015 are approved as presented. Progress report. I'm going to invite Mary up, Roger up. I'm going to invite Roger up for a construction update. Roger?
I didn't expect this many people, but I'm kind of a graphic kind of person, so maybe we can share it here and there. Basically, what I'm showing is an outline, if you will, of the whole school that is colorful, just as Jason Lynn's colorful. All right, I do have actually I do have extras. So let's give one to Rich, give one to Sean.
Thank you, sir.
Something for you to hang up on your refrigerator when you get home. Okay, probably no surprise if you've been looking at the video that's on the website. It's been a very active site. A lot of site work has taken place in the last month. All the cut and fill work has been completed up to the subgrade. That's from the back of the school on. Site drainage on the east side of the site has been completed, which is a very important part of the construction. And if you're taking a look at the plan that I just handed out there, you'll see there's a series of blue lines, and then there's a pink line. The pink line is really the north and east side of the planned athletic field. The blue line that runs beside the pink line was critical because, excuse me, that's a new drainage line that was installed, and it's very close to that retaining wall, so it was important that that be put into place right away. So the new head wall is there, and that drainage line is there. And you can see it runs all the way up to the side of the paper, up past the new parking lot. And that is now connected as of this afternoon into the drainage that is to remain. So that was critical. It comes across the site, and you'll see there's a bunch of dots. Those are just manholes. And it comes all the way around to the front of the school. And what that has allowed the contractor to do is take the water that's coming off of the existing high school roof and plumb it into there. And it allows us to demo an existing line that's in the ground. Also, we have installed the new water tap. That is over near the pink line, and where the contractor is mobilizing now to take and distribute that water line into the school location. Looking at that pink line or red line, depending on how you look at it, on the right-hand side, that is the east side. 75% of the large block wall is now in place. The dotted line at the top just means that they have the base in place to continue on with those blocks. It's really great to see that taking place. It kind of gives you a good feel for what the elevation of that field is going to be. We don't have the capstone on at this point, but most of that east line is installed. Overall foundation, we're about 60%. If you're looking at the outline of the new school, you'll see that I highlighted green lines. Any place that you see a green line, the footing is in, the foundation wall is in, has the vapor barriers on, it's insulated, and it's all backfilled inside and outside of the building. So it's really good. Approximately 50% of the high school foundation is in place. You'll see there is a gap there in the middle, and that's because the contractor is using that as their transportation around the site. We don't have any work, well, actually, the front of the building, just today, we started to pour the wall there. That's why you see that little green line. That is going to work its way to the right on your page, when it will connect up to the high school. The reason why we have that break is there was an underground drainage system there that we needed to leave in place until the permanent drains were in. But now that that's there, they can continue on. They're going to work all the way over and connect up to the high school and then off to the middle school. Okay, the concrete placement of, there's a slab area. You'll see there's a hash mark there. It will say slab, and there's a date. That's tomorrow's date. So tomorrow morning, we're still planning on pouring the concrete slab in the gymnasium, or part of the gym. And it looks like that's definitely going to happen. So that's exciting. Of course, to be able to pour the concrete, you have to make sure that everything that belongs underneath the concrete is in place. So there's extensive underground drainage there for the sanitary and the roof drains. All of that in what we refer to as Zone 3, or the gymnasium, is all in place, and it all has been through the inspection process with the town officials. In addition to the plumbing, there is conduit, electrical conduit, that is installed under that slab. There's an electrical room located on the high school side. All of that is stubbed up and ready to go. There's been various sleeves put through the foundation to go out and feed the scoreboards, so the conduit can leave the school. Actually, there's a lot of trenching done for the electrical conduit that goes off to the scoreboards and future lighting at the synthetic field. N-Grid has mobilized, and they have available for the contractor temporary power, and they haven't utilized that yet, but that's something that's going to happen in the next week or so. Good news, steel is still scheduled to arrive sometime in mid-February. And basically on an average every day, we have 40 to 50 workers of multiple trades on site. Now, I wasn't looking at my notes, so hopefully I didn't. Mary was checking me, so I guess it was good. Anybody have any questions?
Where are we with unsuitables, Roger?
Unsuitables. All right, well, we continue to chase unsuitables around the site. We're being very careful to quantify what has been established. We know that the middle school side shows some signs of unsuitables, but the ground has not really been, it's been frozen and we haven't been able to dig, but we're continuing to track that. Have anything else about unsuitables?
Yes.
Also, the field, underneath the synthetic field, or parts of it, we have done some additional exploration, and we noticed that there is some organic material there. We're going to take and chase that out and make sure that the area is prepared properly so that we get a first-rate synthetic field. The actual quantities of that are unknown at this time, but that's something we've been working with the architects, with the civil engineers, and we also have our geo services from Briggs Engineering.
Great.
You've been very good. Thank you.
You're gonna get the FS.
Yes. So the next item that we're going to be working on with regard to the total project is the FF&E programming. During the schematic design phase, we were required by MSBA to do room data sheets in which we outline equipment that would be proposed for each of the classrooms and offices, et cetera, in the building. So what we're going to do at this point is start to further refine that program so that we can develop bid documents for all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that's going to be all the furniture in the classrooms and offices. That'll be all the maintenance equipment that the school department is going to require, both for exterior and interior work. We would propose to work probably the next 4 to 5 months on that program and prepare a bid document to ensure that if Great does achieve their early completion date for the project, as you recall, they had some intention of trying to get it to us several months early. We will be prepared with that bid document to be able to have furniture on site based on the accelerated schedule. But it also allows us to be able to adjust that bidding schedule based on Great's performance over the next year or so. We do have a budget that's defined in the overall budget for furniture and equipment. And we will develop the package to that budget. We'll be meeting a lot with department heads, et cetera, to confirm what their equipment needs are. And then we'll report back to you once that budget is further refined and the bid documents are ready for procurement.
Thank you.
Do you want me to just do budget?
Yeah, that would,
Yeah.
why not?
So next item on the agenda is budget update. I have included in the agenda package an updated budget. A couple of items just to note with this update is, number one, this is including in the expended column all the invoices that were received for work performed in December. So it includes the latest invoice from Brait, which was requisition number 2. And as you can see, an amazing total for the first 2 months of construction at $5.3 million of work installed to date. Additionally, there were monthly fees or services rendered by AI3 with construction phase, KBA, and also Briggs Engineering and Testing for their performance on site, doing site compaction, so concrete placement and concrete cylinder breaks to test the strength of the concrete. Another item that I've added to the committed column for the budget, you'll see under owner contingency, there was an additional request by the school department. I think I emailed several of the building committee meeting members regarding this. During December, we started to talk about the various egresses around the building, and we have restricted some of the emergency egresses from the back of the high school, in that it certainly meets the students' needs for getting out of the building, but it presents an issue with the school department for keeping those pathways plowed and open, because previously they could just run a plow truck over the sidewalk, or they could do other things to be able to quickly clear the snow and ice. But because our construction fence abuts so close to the back and sides of the school, they really can't get that kind of equipment around to quickly remove the snow and be able to just push it. So what we had always proposed, and we included in the owner contingency as a consideration, was a mini loader in which you could attach a snow blower attachment on it, which allows you to be able to access narrow corridors and be able to snow blow and also project the snow a distance so they can throw it over the fence into the construction area. So the school department did follow up with obtaining a bid. They are going to use a state contract, which allows us to directly contact the vendor regarding the equipment we would like to purchase. They have contacted Norfolk Power Equipment, and they have received a quote of $41,200 for the mini loader. So it would be the intention to proceed with the purchase of that item now rather than later, so that we can make sure that the sidewalks and the emergency egress paths at the back of the school are continually available to the school during the winter months. And I would say, as a side note, the Hingham Middle School purchased a very similar piece of equipment in the same dollar range as this, and last year it was a lifesaver. The device is like a mini Bobcat and has a snowblower attachment, 48 inches wide on the front. So it works just like your regular stand-behind snowblower, but it projects the snow much further. So they were able to take snow at sidewalks and project it over 5-6 feet and be able to get it away, so that then they could keep the sidewalks open for the kids. So it really was a great help last year, and hopefully we won't need it this year. They always say when you buy a snow blower, you won't have snow. But I think it's a good purchase, and it's something that we did a lot for in the owner contingency line item, so that's what I'm showing also on the budget.
Do you need a motion for that, Mary?
I don't think so. We haven't been motioning thus far in each of our adjustments. It's more, in fact, letting you all know how the budget's being adjusted, and if for any reason we start to need to adjust line item balances, then I would probably want to get your approval on that, but this was always part of the program of what we were going to purchase, and I think it's the same, similar to the Wi-Fi, that,
Yeah.
you know, we would like to just proceed with it, but I want to let you guys know it's a substantial purchase, so,
Just changing the timing of the purchase.
It's the sequencing of
Yeah.
it, as
Correct.
opposed, okay.
yeah.
Mary, is it dedicated just to the site, or can it be used throughout the town?
That would be certainly the school department and the building committee's option, but it is movable. All you need is a trailer that you can drive. It's just like a Bobcat, and you see Bobcats driving around all the time. So yeah, I know in Hingham we bought it for the middle school, but I know that it was used in other locations at certain times. Because the great item with it is that it can go in a very limited space and it can throw the snow.
Snow it does.
Yeah, and that your normal walk behind snowblower just doesn't have that throwing capacity, and so, you know, I'm sure it'll be a great help throughout the town or throughout the other school buildings, if they become a need to use it.
Thank you.
In the original email message, did you mention that this purchase might be over the original budget
Yes.
for this equipment?
Thanks, Mike. I had originally allotted $40,000 for it, so the price is $41,200, and certainly, based on the fact that we were able to include the Wi-Fi into the base budget, we have a $40,000 surplus, and also, I haven't assigned the full amount of the contingency yet. I think we're at, $300,000 to $400,000 in just set-asides for photocopy machines. We're also looking to, hopefully, if everything turns out right, purchase a mini boom lift so that they'll be able to change the light fixtures and other devices within the school at the high ceiling locations. So certainly, given the fact the Wi-Fi went into the base bid of the contract, this $1,000 or $1,200 overage is really not going to impact us in any way.
And while we're speaking of budget, based on the dimensions you had given us of the unsuitable material areas, would you say it's possible that we've gone over the original 300 cubic yard allotment for the unsuitables?
For unsuitables, yes, we've begun to go over the 300 cubic yard allotment. However, and we've also probably exceeded the rock allowance. Not very much, but we probably have. We also have a very large boulder allowance for the project, 6,000 cubic yards, and so we have a surplus on that. And since the initial swath of boulders that we found in the center core of the building, we haven't encountered really any more boulders. So our hope, and we've talked at the last two project meetings with Braid, is that we will put all the allowances together for a grand total and then utilize the contract unit prices to build down off of those once we exceed any of the limits. So it would be our hope that we would use some of the surplus for boulders to offset some of the overages in the unsuitables. But that being said, the impact of the synthetic fields and any future encounters that we might have when we do phase 2 and 3, you know, are considerations for the change order contingency going forward. Based on the number and the quantities and the various locations, it would make me want to conservatively account for some encountering in phase 2 and 3. Just because it just seems, it isn't just one pocket, it's a pocket here, it's a pocket here, it's a pocket. We've had 5 pockets so far that we've hit. So it would make me think that we may encounter some unsuitables or rocks or other materials in phase 2 and 3.
Based on the unsuitable material that's been found, and it's very difficult to probably uncover all of it or it be a known condition throughout. Does the architect or the engineers have any concerns about the building and whether they might impose some measures like pre-stressed concrete slabs or anything like that based on not being able to find all the unsuitables.
Well, I mean, to the extent that we have examined the site, but also the process of how we're building this building, if we're going to encounter it, we will encounter it. It's not like within the building area, there is a location where we wouldn't have uncovered it, just because of the foundation excavation requirements, the interior pier excavation requirements, and the underdrain requirements within the building. We are, in the 50% of the building is all fill. So we've already taken off the unsuitables and filled up from there. And then in the front of the building, where we aren't necessarily filling, we have cut down that, and we're also required to excavate so much of that building with interior foundation walls, interior piers, under drainage systems that we're fairly confident that we have encountered and have discovered what we need to ensure that that building design works.
Can I ask a question, maybe you can't answer this one. When we get into the phase of taking down the high school and doing the work out front, we're gonna be actually lowering that topography a little bit. It's gonna kind of slope back to the new building. Would I be correct to assume that at that point in time, we'll be basically removing a lot more as opposed to cutting and filling another location? Since the back part of the site will be pretty much at its grade?
Well, we'll need to fill the old building area though. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say at this point how much will be trucked off and how
Right.
much we'll need to backfill into. It's gonna be dependent upon the substrate and what we can use and what's available. If we have to take basically at the back of the gym, I think we have to drop the grade 5 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet at the back of the existing gym.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about at the front lawn, 5 feet of loam or 2 feet of loam, it's gonna make a big difference on what we can use and what we can't use and what we're going to be doing for truck off.
Yeah, it's almost not worth talking about, 'cause it's just a guess right now. You
It
won't know
is.
until you start digging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Mary, can I ask you, I know there was some discussion at one of the work group meetings, I believe, regarding the sanitary sewer lift station. And originally, we did not specify a proprietary product,
Mhm.
but that the sewer department had then requested that we use a specific.
Yes.
And I think in that case, correct me if I'm wrong, the contractor could potentially have looked for a change order, or maybe not been as flexible as they were in accommodating that request.
Yeah, we've had at least 2 occasions. As a reminder, we talked about this a lot during design phase. We are required under state procurement law, which is Chapter 3039M, that in our specification, we must provide 3 products that meet our specifications and allow for or equals, which means for everything that we buy on the site, we have to allow for multiple products to be offered to meet the specification. There were, I think, 6 items of which we went to the Board of Selectmen and obtained approval to do a proprietary spec. The servers and switchers for the network, Wi-Fi, a couple of other things, which,
Yeah.
keys and
Fire
locks.
department, fire connection.
Right, and they were all things that would impact the town significantly because so much infrastructure was based on those products. During this initial phase in the shop drawings, we've had 2 occasions where the contractor has submitted an ORECO that we were concerned that they wouldn't meet completely the needs or desires of the school department. One being the scoreboards for the synthetic field, which there's 2 of them, and also the sewer ejector pump station. So with both of those occasions, we talked to the reps that helped us give guidance to us with regard to the spec, Peter Serino being the scoreboard person, and then the sewer department.
John Stone.
Thank you, John Stone. And so what we did is work with Brate to look through what they had proposed as an or equal. Also talk with the reps about what their opinions were on the or equal, long-term maintenance costs, compatibility with other ejector systems and other sewer components in the town, and work with Braid in the instance of the scoreboard. We were able to work around the size of the scoreboard and the features of the scoreboard with Peter and be able to get the preferred vendor that he wanted. And that was really based on information he received from other districts regarding maintenance and service issues with the other scoreboard. With regard to the ejector station, really Braid offered really to help us out and make sure that they were providing what we wanted for valving and pump assemblies. And so there was also an offer though from the town to assist with the install because of their experience with those components. It's a vertical pump assembly, and they've installed them in several locations in town, so they're going to come over and provide labor free of charge to the project to assist the contractor in assembling those components in the manhole, so it'll make it easier and they're not going to lose production time. So I think in both situations there's a really good compromise to get the best assemblies for the town today and long term.
The Route 18 intersection work, the mast arm will need to be replaced.
That was part of the original scope of work, so that's covered. We did review it after back and forth about what Mass DOT was requiring and the structural, or the structuring information on the existing arm and mast, and there is a schedule of work items that we specified that are part of that work, and the mast and arm are included. So that's already included in the scope of work.
And where does the plans in that work stand with MassDOT right now?
Darren just got an update today from PAR, basically saying that they submitted the final application with all the final back and forth between Mass DOT and the civil engineers on December 5th, and they're waiting for the final approval. They're hoping to get it in the next couple of weeks. So we are at like the final stage. We confirmed all the work is owned by contract, and now it's just waiting for Mass DOT to approve the application. And we are going to look to try to move that work ahead as quickly as possible, particularly for the lane reconfigurations, just because we think it'll help with the safety of exiting the high school site.
Yeah, so for people at home, we're hoping to upgrade the intersection sometime during 2016.
We're hoping, yep.
Yeah, even though the building won't be done until 2018, 17.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Further items under general business, not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. School building committee membership. We are sending in an amendment to the MSBA regarding the membership. We've had 3 people that have offered or have been willing to still remain on the committee, but just to transition from a voting member to a non-voting member. And the reason being is so that we can more easily achieve a quorum. Roseanne, Jessica Sullivan, and Kerry McGuire, again, will all remain on the committee, but they'll transition from a voting member to a non-voting member. That'll lower the quorum requirement and ensure that we are able to achieve a quorum going forward. That'll be submitted to the MSBA in a letter dated today, so that they can update their records accordingly. And again, you know, we still hope that everyone will continue to come to the meetings, participate in the meetings, but that as we start to move forward and we need to take action on more items, you know, that we can more easily achieve a quorum so that we can vote on items as needed.
So what will our numbers be going forward? We'll have how many people and what's our quorum?
So we will be at, let's take a look.
3 less, which is 22 minus 3 is 19. Half of 19 is not 10.
So we have 10 for a quorum, 19 voting members.
Correct. additional item, the Mass Supplier Diversity Office quarterly report. Do you want to provide?
Actually, I noticed two things when I was preparing the agenda and other items for the meeting. Number one, for those of you who were not at the last meeting, the November minutes reported on a bid protest that was filed with regard to Brait's bid and their utilization of contractors to meet the minority business enterprise and women business enterprise requirements for the job. As a reminder, we are required to attempt to achieve a goal. I'm going to use a lot of the terms that are in the executive order. Achieve a goal of 10.4% participation by minority business enterprises and women-owned business enterprises certified by the State Supplier Diversity Office. So the hearing was held on December 8th, and representatives from the building committee, town building committee council, various contractors, AG, DCAM, the Division of Capital Planning and Maintenance, and Supplier Diversity Office all attended. It was a lengthy hearing about bidding, procurement laws, et cetera, and really establishing the fact that the Attorney General's office purview under a bid protest is bid procurement laws. And about a week after the hearing, the AG's office issued a decision saying that it was not going to consider the protest because it did not fall under the requirements of bid laws. But we also did receive during the hearing confirmation from the SDO that the contractors submitted by Brait were in fact certified by SDO as minority and women-owned businesses, so we were meeting the goals of the project. So since then, on December 31st, on behalf of the building committee, our office filed the quarterly reports for design phase work and for construction phase work. So the construction phase requirement is 10.4%. Brait is projecting a 12% participation goal, and that may also increase as time goes on and they start to buy out the project more fully, because on Hingham I think they were 19.5%. And for A3, their requirement for design is 17.9, and they are achieving that goal, and all of the contractors to date based on performance are paid up to date. So that report went in, and it shows that we're not only meeting but exceeding in some cases, and that we're paying the contractors in a timely manner.
Great. Mary, can I have you stay up there just for one more minute?
Yep.
When Roger was reviewing the, providing the construction update, he had talked about some slab work that was going to be done tomorrow on Friday, January 8th. And I know that the requirements in order to do that appropriately is going to carry us beyond our noise ordinance at 9 p.m. Can I ask you just to give us a brief update on that, what we've done thus far, and what we expect?
So Abington has a noise ordinance, which we did notify the contractor in the bid document of the requirement to comply with it. That noise ordinance specifies hours that you can conduct construction operations. And for weekdays, that is from 7 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. at night. Tomorrow, we are scheduled to place the slab, as Roger indicated, for the middle school locker rooms and for a significant portion of the high school gymnasium, middle school and high school gymnasium. That will be 350 cubic yards of concrete. A concrete truck carries about 11 yards of concrete, so that's a lot of concrete that we're placing. We're going to be starting first thing in the morning once the high school is in session and the kids are in, and we know that we're going to have reduced traffic on Glenowitz Way. But it will take several hours to just place that concrete. We also will have a pumper truck on site, so if you do drive by and you see this big boom up in the air, etc., that's the concrete being pumped into place. What happens following the placement is that the concrete needs to set and it needs to be floated so that you don't have too much water on the top of the concrete, and it sets up correctly and it is finished correctly. What that requires the contractor to do is to float it. And so what they typically do on these large slab placements is they use power floaters. And they look like big fans, They have types that are walk-behinds, or usually for this larger placement, they'll have ride-on devices. And basically, the fans just kind of swirl, the blades swirl over the top of the concrete to continue to finish the surface of the concrete and help with the evaporation of moisture off the top of the concrete. Based on the weather conditions that we're experiencing now, because it's 40s, 30s, that will require extended float and finish time. So we are projecting that the concrete work will extend past midnight. We have contacted the Board of Health agent to let her know that we're going to be extending hours on site. We've contacted the police department and the school department so that they're aware that there will be just the concrete finishing crew on site for those extended hours. Brait has also notified that company that they need to keep noise to the maximum amount of minimum that they can. No playing radios, no yelling across the site, just operate the equipment they have to, which will be a generator for the lights and then the power finishing equipment so that they can finish the slab. So, again, we've sent notifications out to everyone. Rick LaFond is also aware of this. And Brait is planning on submitting a request to the Board of Health to obtain a waiver on the noise requirement just for these types of extended hour operations. So we're going to do our very best to minimize impacts to the neighbors. I believe that Felicia has also contacted or will contact the president of Lincoln Village, which is our condo complex right next door. And it's really unavoidable for us to do this, and it's really a requirement for us to be able to not just achieve a good finish on the concrete, but also just to make sure we achieve the proper consistency and strength on that concrete. So we will try to continue to be good neighbors, but this will happen from time to time, and we will let people know when we're going to be doing these type of placements. We're expecting anywhere from 15 to 20 more of these placements between the first and second floor.
Any concerns of weather protection of the concrete overnight at lower temperatures?
Yeah, we talked about that extensively today at the project meeting. What the contractor is going to do is temperature is a consideration, also evaporation is a consideration. So following the completion of the finishing phase of the concrete, they will cover the entire surface of the slab with a poly material. And then following the poly placement, they will then cover it with blankets so that we make sure it maintains temperature. And concrete inherently has a certain amount of heat to it when it's curing, so as long as we have the blankets over it, it will self-heat itself while it's continuing the cure, because concrete really cures over multiple days. But we'll have that initial setup within the first 24 hours that we need to worry about the finishes. And then we are planning on cutting it the next day so that we make sure we don't have any kind of shrinkage cracks.
And just on how much noise does that actually generate? Is it just going to be locally in the Lincoln Village, or is it going to be?
Yeah, it should just be. It should just be Lincoln Village. It's awfully quiet in that area,
Yeah.
so it's hard to say without the leaves up. How far the noise might travel. But we're really talking about gas-powered equipment, so I shouldn't think it would be any more than what you're hearing when trucks are driving up and down the street.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other items for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance? Any other questions or comments for the benefits of the viewers at home? All right, hearing none. Take a look at scheduling our future meetings. And while we're doing that, just to remind everybody on the committee, Roger is at the site pretty much every day that it's in operation. He is more than willing, if anyone hasn't been to the site yet and would be interested in walking through the site, you can contact Roger, set up a time. He's more than happy to take you through the site so you can see the inner workings. So remember that is an open invitation, and don't be afraid to reach out to him if you're interested in seeing it.
That's the committee members, right?
Committee members.
Not the general public.
Yeah, unfortunately not the general public. with insurance and whatnot, that would not be good.
I would caution anyone, we'd love to have you. We'd like to show off what's been done, but it's really muddy. So if you pick a day above 35 degrees, your boots are gonna be completely covered and your pants are probably gonna be ruined. So if you pick a day below 35 degrees,
Solid.
it's nice and solid, and it'll be a lot easier to walk around, but it's very brisk on site, so dress warmly.
Spoken from experience.
All right. What would be a good time frame for our next meeting, Mary?
The 11th? Or the week of the 7th, what the other days work for you guys?
I can do anything but the 11th. So choose the 11th.
Does the school administration have anything going on? 10th or 11th?
Basketball games on the 10th.
I'm not around on the 10th.
I'm not around the 11th. Oh, no,
I
that's
think
stop
it
it.
sounds like the 11th is probably.
Yeah, there's an advantage to that.
I'm not around.
Ah. How about the 9th?
Is it Tuesday?
All right. I think the 9th, if that works for.
What time?
6 PM. So the next meeting will be scheduled for Tuesday, February 9th, 2016 at 6 PM. We will tentatively plan on holding it here at the community room at the police station. We'll confirm that the room's available, and we'll get an email out to the committee to confirm its availability.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none.
Thank you, Bill Davis.
Thank you, Bill. All right, meeting adjourned.
Didn't want to hang out.
Just talk about the stuff. So Rick told me.
I can say
Wasn't the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Mayor, I sent you that.